You are now listening to the Ade Podcast.
We're getting ready to start to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Ade Podcast. It's your boy Ade in the building. We are back for season 3, episode 3 of the show. Before I introduce today's guest, I have to shout myself out on social media at Joe the Great, JOETHEGR 8, as well as my podcast page at j.ade.pod. Both on the gram, ladies and gentlemen. But like I said, ladies and gentlemen, today we have 2 special guests on the show, and we're going to give them the opportunity to introduce themselves. We have one lady and we have one gentleman. So, as we always do, we're going to have the lady introduce herself first, then we're going to have the gentleman do so subsequently. So, lady, what's your name? Where are you from?
I am Glow. I'm from the DMV area.
Okay.
Yes. I'm
Okay.
at Towson University. Go Tigers.
All right.
And I'm a multi-hyphenate, so I do multiple things.
Okay. All right, and we have a gentleman on the show, man. What's your name? Where you from?
My name is Mac James. Glad to be here. I'm originally from St. Paul, Minnesota. Currently living in Baltimore, Maryland. Excited to be a part of this great podcast. It's got me through a lot of long days at work.
Yes, sir, man. Thank you for the support.
Too.
It's love. Appreciate it. You feel me? All right, ladies and gentlemen, as I stated, man, follow you. Y'all get a social media shout out before we move further?
I don't have socials.
Okay. I was just giving y'all the opportunity to do it. What about you, man?
Feel free to follow me on Instagram, the number 5, FORVENDETTA. That's 5 for Vendetta.
Hey, okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, this is the 3rd episode of the 3rd season of the podcast. Thank you to everybody who's been showing me love thus far. It's love, appreciate it. It's honor, appreciate it. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, today's topic is a very interesting topic that I think a lot of people have been discussing and addressing quite a bit as of late. Specifically, in today's day and age, there's been a lot of backlash from women in terms of how men choose to spend their time. Specifically, men are scrutinized for hanging out with their homeboys or playing video games too much as opposed to devoting that time to them. And my response to this mindset is that those who complain about such things the most need to get a hobby. I don't want this episode to be a woman bashing episode, so I will be presenting both sides. But now that we got that out the way, both of y'all, I have to ask you, we had the lady introduce herself first. We're going to have the gentleman answer this question first. Do you believe that that statement is true? Why or why not? And I can elaborate if need be.
Most definitely. No, I definitely believe that this statement is true.
Okay.
Of course, there's 2 sides to every story, 2 sides to every coin.
Right.
But overall, there's a lot of pressure in our society for people to fit into boxes. And I feel like a lot of times when people get into a relationship with significant others, they have an idea of what that person does on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
And a lot of time, the young gentleman, might not be exactly what the young woman is looking for in terms of what they do on a day-to-day basis, and doesn't really respect the balance that they need in terms of, having time with your homeboys or having time to really have that release like 2K.
Okay.
So I'm excited to talk about this more in depth, but definitely want to get the ladies' point of view and really go deep with this one.
All right. So, I think that's interesting. So pretty much for you, you feel like you agree that this is true, that women don't really respect that guy time that guys really need.
1,000.
All right. And what do you think? Do you agree or disagree? Why not?
Well, I feel like I agree.
Okay.
No, actually, I disagree.
Okay, let's talk about it.
I'm team get a hobby.
Okay.
But whoever you surround yourself with or the company that you surround yourself with
Right.
really influences how I, as a woman, will feel about that hobby.
Okay.
Because if you just play video games with some Bamas that's all they do, it's like, what productivity is going on here? Or
what if he just enjoys doing that, though?
Okay, that's fine. But if it stays its welcome almost. If your hobby overruns your life, the hobby is just supposed to be to decompress.
Okay.
So if you spend too much time doing it, then it's like, well, how much decompressing do you
So how much time is too much time?
I feel like that's also hard because it really depends on what he does. Like, if you actually are out here and you're a working man, then yes, you're gonna have that allotted time. Like, I'm gonna give you more leeway. But if you're not really doing much, which is not the type of man I like, but if you're not really doing much and you spend more time doing other things like this quote unquote hobby, I'm not really gonna
quote unquote hobby. So I feel like for you, it's a matter of what exactly the hobby is, right? So it sounds to me like if your guy's hobby was lifting weights, that might be a little bit more acceptable.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, if your hobby is golfing or something, I feel like that's fine. That's active.
Okay.
It's good. The video games thing, like, I grew up with brothers, so I know that they play video games, but my brother's also an engineer, so he works hard. So I get it too, but at the same time, it's kind of like when he says, I'm gonna go play basketball, I feel that's more productive for me personally.
Okay, what do you think about that, bro? So what do you think about the idea of our dear young lady over here saying that the type of hobby matters in terms of what she decides to scrutinize or not?
I personally think that the type of hobby doesn't necessarily matter. In terms of talking about bad hobbies, obviously those weigh a little bit heavier.
Right.
But on the way here, I was even thinking like your hobby could be to play basketball.
Right.
But if you play basketball 15 hours a day, that's gonna weigh on your relationship. That's gonna weigh on your body. It's gonna break you down. It's gonna have a bad adaptive mindset into your life. So I don't think that it's whatever the hobby is. I think it's more of just the breakdown of communication and being able to ask your partner for time. That people run into an issue with a lot rather than the exact thing. Because you could replace 2K with going to the gym, but if you're in the gym twice as long as you're playing 2K, you're going to run into the same issues.
Right. But
that is true.
Okay.
That's true. That's true.
No,
I don't disagree with that.
Okay.
I just feel that hobbies can also be a little bit more productive in the sense.
Okay.
So to me, I just see productivity as, an active activity rather than video games. But I get it. I get that you sometimes just want to decompress. Okay. And Grand Theft Auto or 2K or whatever might be that for you. Okay. But I don't want you spending hella hours in front of the TV just doing that when we could really be watching a show or something, Okay. So that.
All right, I got you. And I think it's interesting that you brought up that point of, I guess, kind of scrutinizing the type of hobby specifically. And my next question for you, I want to have the lady answer this one first. But do you believe that women are justified in scrutinizing how men spend their time, or is that something that they don't really have the right to speak upon? What do you think?
I mean, I'm not a man, so I guess technically.
I want to hear the woman's perspective, and then we're going to get to his perspective too.
Technically, I can't scrutinize it, but
right.
if we're in a relationship, I definitely would say that I don't care for the video games. I just don't see the point in spending that much time playing video games, but that's just me. Like, that's just something that I don't understand. Okay. So that's my personal thing. Okay.
All right. And what do you think, man? Do you think women are justified in scrutinizing, or do they not really have the right to speak on it?
The fellas gonna get mad at me.
Let's discuss.
But the women do have a lot of situations where they're justified in having a scrutiny over what the fellas are doing.
Okay.
In terms of like a relationship, you in a partnership, a team, y'all gotta have that level of communication on the time that needs to be put into that overall. So they are justified in having it, but I feel like the justification, if your communication level isn't high, then you won't have the ability to talk through it and really find different ways to move forward from that. And then also on the back end, like let's say, take for example, you have a main hobby, right? Ade Podcast.
Right.
Like he's not going to sacrifice his time on his pod for just anybody at all, for real. But when it comes to 2K, that might be something lower on the list. So if you have 15 hobbies that are all things that don't give time to your significant other, your girl, then you got to kind of look in the mirror too, fellas, and like, am I just doing a lot to stay busy and escape the relationship? Or am I really working on things that are going to further me business-wise, physically, things like that going forward?
Okay, so I think that's an interesting point that you brought up too, is that people might be pursuing these hobbies as a way to escape from the realities of their relationships. And I kind of wanted to get from you guys, why do you think somebody would want to do that though? Like, what could you possibly be escaping from within a relationship where you say, you know what, I'm going to devote all of my time to this hobby in order to escape? Give me an example of something that you think is worth escaping from.
Most definitely. So I would say a lot of things would be like putting people into boxes. So you have a lot of pressures around our age, mid-20s, where people are pressuring you into having kids, getting married, and things like that.
Right.
And that's a scary proposition overall, moving in together. So I feel like a lot of times people will kind of deprecate themselves by putting all their attention in something different and using that as like an outlet to kind of escape the reality that they're facing right now.
Right.
It's similar like bills. Like some people just don't like opening their mail and then they'll have past due bills.
Right.
And they'll use, turning up and going out as a way to kind of escape that reality.
Right.
So,
okay, what do you think about that?
I feel as though if you want to escape the relationship, then you don't want to be in a relationship, which is very unfortunate.
I gotta get my take on this too. But
I was going to say, it's unfortunate because how did we get here? Which that's a whole other topic of how people end up in relationships.
Right.
But as a woman, quality time is important to us. So if we see that your quality time with your boys is more important, then yes, that's when we're going to
unpack that today too. Quality time with your boys, because we need to discuss that once and for all.
Can
today.
we, please?
I mean, no, okay, we can talk about that, and I was going to address it later though. But matter of fact, let's address it now. So first of all, I think there's a lot of backlash that men receive for the quality time that they spend with their homeboys. And I want to hear first of all why. Why is it that men receive so much backlash for spending time with their boys, especially if they are devoting time to babe?
here's the thing, though. If we have to come to you're spending too much time with your boys, then clearly you're not spending enough time with Bae. That's the only way we're going to come to the conclusion. And y'all are just so comfortable with your boys. I guess you could just be yourselves. I don't know. I will never be a man, so I don't know what it's like to just
you can be yourself around your girl, too. I feel like, honestly, I was talking to one of my boys about this the other day. I feel like a lot of women need to realize that they're not as fun to be around as their homeboys sometimes. That's just facts of the matter.
So then what do you like about being with a woman then?
I'm just saying, like, that's an emotional connection there, you know what I'm saying? But like in terms of like, all right, we cool and watching basketball with the boys. I feel like, especially if you're devoting time to your girl already, I feel like it's fair for me to chill with the homeboys. I feel like something that women are doing a lot now is, I think it's a sense of like, I want to be included in this hangout session.
Oh, I don't want to be included with your boys.
So what is it then? Let's unpack. I want to hear the guy's perspective too, because I think this is so interesting. And I think, honestly, I feel like to a certain degree, women have a hard time understanding the relationship between homies because they don't have bonds as strong with their homegirls.
Ooh,
Thoughts?
No.
Facts or fiction? Let's talk about it.
Let's
talk about it. Let's talk about it.
I'm gonna let Max
Max
speak, but I totally disagree with
Honestly,
that.
I think that's the reason she was making all these complaints about, you spending time with your homeboys a little too much. Half the time, dudes do spend time with their girl as much as their homeboys, you know what I'm saying? But fact of the matter is, the relationships with their homegirls aren't as strong, and I feel like there's a sense of jealousy that plays into it. What you think?
1,000%.
Let's talk about it.
The two most important times is one right now and second man time.
So, yes, sir.
You need to have that time with your boys because one, your boys aren't about to break up with you off of no random stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's a vicious world that we live in, and women are doing a lot of stuff every day. Don't get me wrong, men do women dirty too. But like we're
gonna talk about that too, because like I said, I don't want it to be a woman bashing episode.
I've never had to call one of my boys and say, "Hey, we're breaking up," or like, "Hey, I can't have you in my life no more." You know, they hold you down through thick or thin.
Right.
And I feel like there is that level of jealousy because you only see like your perspective. So a lot of women I've noticed will talk viciously about each other, will gossip about their boyfriends and things like that. So a lot of women assume that when we're having man time with our bros, that we're doing the same thing, and that's just not the case. It's just not the case.
Let's discuss.
I'm not gonna say I completely disagree. I disagree. For me as a woman, I have no problems with you hanging out with your men if I can verify that those are good men. Like if there's maybe one bad apple, it's kind of like, oh, okay, that's just Johnny, whatever. Right, yeah, but if for the most part, your group of guys are good guys, then there's no reason for me to be upset about it. But if I feel like your men are scum and that's who you surround yourself with, then yes, I'm gonna be worried.
But I feel like the fact that you're dating a man with all scum friends says something about you as well, though. Ooh, Ade Podcast. We going there today, ladies and gentlemen. No, let's talk about it.
But how would I know until I meet his friends? And that's when the issue will present itself. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So he could be a good apple, but his friends are scum. Say, it's that quote unquote like hood story of the guy, he gets out the hood, but his mans are still in the hood. So it's kind of like, I don't want you around that. You've elevated from that. Clearly, I hold myself to a higher value than that, and that's what I would want my man to represent. So if I feel like the men you represent don't, represent what I would see for us, which would hopefully be marriage and a family and legacy and all that, I don't want you around them.
Okay, so for you, it's acceptable for the man time to take place if you know that he's hanging out with good people.
With good men, yes.
So
because that's good influence.
So then what was the complaint from earlier then about spending too much time with your homeboys if they're good people?
If it's too much time, then we will talk about it.
How much time is too much time though?
I guess it's hard to say because it's kind of like it would depend on what his schedule is, really what he does. Mac brought up the point earlier of like you have your podcast. Mm-hmm. So you do your podcast once a week. That's about 1 to 2 hours of your time. That's not too much time to devote to a hobby that if you were to say, okay, I'm going to go back to my girl or after this, I'm going to dinner or something like it's a guy's night or whatever, then that's not too much time. But if it becomes, every day, you work a full day. So you work 40 hours a week. Every day you need 2 hours to decompress or something. What time does that really leave for us? Like you would have to make the time to make sure that I'm happy as well. Relationships are about compromise.
Right.
You can't push me off to my girls all the time just so you can hang out with your guys. I have no problem hanging out with my girls.
And I think that's so interesting that you brought that up, like can't push me to my girls, because I feel like that's the easy solution, right? Like, am I tripping?
No, you're not.
If you're complaining about me hanging out with my boys, go hang out with your girls. Right.
But you are my man, so I want to hang out with you.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm splitting the time between, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, I feel like for me, especially like if I were to have a girl, like I'm single, you feel me? But like if I were to have a girl, like I would devote a significant amount of time to my girl.
Okay.
But I'm still going to spend time with the boys. You feel me?
Okay, so how much time do you think is too much? So reverse it then.
Okay.
If it's the girl and she wants to, and she's spending all her time with her girlfriends, how much time is too much time for her?
Define all her time though. Like for me, like okay, so like if I'm chilling with the homies, let's say we go out on the weekend or something like that.
Right.
Obviously, if I'm going out on the weekend, Friday, Saturday, neglect my girl the whole weekend, it's like damn. At that point, where are your priorities at?
Exactly.
But if it's a situation where I take my girl out Friday, I go with my boy Saturday, I feel like there's a lot of women out there who want to go out Friday and Saturday. They don't want you to go out with your boys.
Oh, I mean, that's them, I guess.
Would you say you're that type?
No.
Okay. What
No,
type are you in terms of that? Like, is that an even balance in your eyes? And I want to hear from you too, bro.
Oh no, I think what you just said is an even balance because
Okay.
I also believe when you come into a relationship, there's no where we complete each other as halves. No, I'm a whole person. You're a whole person.
Right.
You do your own thing. I do my own thing. We link up. We communicate and talk about how we're going to do this. But
Right.
if I feel as though there are issues and you still want to be in a relationship, then we should talk about those issues and come to a compromise. Now, you could be right. I could be bugging and being like, I don't spend that much time with my guys because, this one's married, this one got kids, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So I need this time. As long as we communicate and talk about it, there's a way to resolve it if we still want to be with each other. I'm just saying if a woman brings the point up to her man, then he should also take that into consideration of, okay, she thinks I'm spending too much time. What can we do to resolve
But
it?
then it becomes a matter of dictating what he does with his time. And as an adult, I feel like he shouldn't necessarily have to do that.
How am I
What do you
dictating
think?
your time?
What do you think, right? So if she's telling you and she explains some level of concern about how you're spending your time outside of her, does she have the right to do that? Especially as your girl, obviously she has, the ability to say so, and her words should carry some weight. But do you think that's acceptable, or do you think that's something that you would be, open to hearing from her?
I mean, I would definitely be open to hearing it. By the way, single as well, so we got two
Yes,
awesome
sir.
brothers.
You know the vibe.
You know what I'm saying? Get
Yes,
at
sir.
us. But at the same time,
He dropped the social media earlier, ladies and
yeah,
gentlemen.
you see it. You know what I'm saying? But
I'm outside. I'm single too, and I'm outside. Okay?
Hey,
So-
you know the vibe.
I'm building my empire brick by brick. You know what I'm saying? I took the lunch with Jay-Z. But overall, I think that a lot of times it could be kind of a control thing. It could be a deeper issue
Right.
than just the time. Because I've had a situation in past relationships where, it's, you're spending too much time here or there. And then you would think that the solution would be more time one-on-one, but it ends up just being you going to their girls' stuff. So now you just in a room full of their girls.
Exactly.
And then they girls, you the new fruit on the tree. They used to seeing their friends, so now they girls are all asking you a million questions, and then they get jealous. So it's like you can't have it both ways, where you want to take the time, but then plug me right into what you was already doing.
Exactly.
When you have free time, you might as well just do you. I'm gonna do me. We're gonna end up back in the same crib together. If we trust each other, it's all love. But I do feel like it's a control thing, and like I do kind of feel like girls get a kick out of like that's a man, but he does what I say. Like,
Yeah. What do you think about that too, though? I think that's interesting, and I think that's also factual to a certain degree. Is being able to say like, yeah, I know, like he knows where home is. You know what I'm saying? Which you should know, right? You should
Right.
know where home is.
Right.
But at the same time, I feel like there's not really any sense of balance. And half the time, he's talking about making moves with you and your homegirls, and that's her idea of spending time.
I was
but
gonna say, who said that though? Who said?
Sometimes they don't even be making moves with the homegirl. Sometimes it's just sitting in the crib doing nothing right along with her. And I don't understand that. Like, I understand from a woman's perspective, why is that like something that women are okay with like doing? So instead of you spending time with your homeboys or, doing something that you like to do outside of, the bounds of the relationship, y'all are completely fine with just kind of sitting together, literally side by side like this, talking about nothingness. I don't like make that make sense to me, because I've always wanted to understand that. personally.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to make it make sense because I'm
Quality time.
not that type of woman.
But you get it.
No, but here's the thing.
Let's hear
As
it.
women, we enjoy that quality time.
Okay.
Like we're naturally nurturers,
Right.
know. As women, most women have that intuition of, I want to be a wife or have children or, all of that.
Right,
so it's
right,
kind of
right.
like when you find somebody that you feel as though you could build with, which is what every relationship hopefully starts as.
Lay low and build.
Yep. But when you find that you could do that, yeah, you want to spend that time with that person and make sure that it happens.
I got
Now, you don't want us to hang out with our single friends,
you.
correct?
Right. That's not the case for me, but I actually wanted to talk about that too. So finish your point and then
I'm saying, here's the thing. If
I
there
would like
is
to answer
too
this too,
much,
but-
if there's too much space in the relationship, that leaves room for other people to get in. If there's so much space and time that y'all are doing other things. If you with your guys, because I'm not opposed to men, guy nights, going to the strip club or whatever, as long as, like I said, we can verify that your men are good men, that's fine. Yeah. But the more time you do that, or the more you get acclimated to that, the more space that leaves in our relationship for something to go awry. Just like if I am in a relationship and maybe 2 out of 3 or 4 of my girlfriends are single as well, and I keep hanging out with them and we're going to single places so they can get somebody, that also leaves room for other men to, approach and do all of that stuff. You don't think? Okay,
and do you agree with that, bro? Do you feel like hanging out with single friends leaves room for the devil to come in?
I mean, any action can leave room for the devil, but if you're committed and strong
some room for Jesus.
And godly, then you know what you're committed to overall. Right. I feel like when I was in relationships, I have endless single friends, and I could just kick it with them. But your friends also got to respect that you're not single.
Right.
And you're going out with the single ladies, and they're like, oh, I need somebody, or we got to get lit and go talk to these 5 dudes, and there's 5 of us. You got to hold your weight. Those aren't really friends that are looking out for you overall, and it's creating an adversarial atmosphere where they feel like they can put themselves in your relationship. And it's like, and again, it goes back to the point where if your girls are doing that, you're thinking the fellas are doing that. I've never had none of my friends be like, the person you dated,
facts,
you shouldn't date her, bro. Like, she did this, and this. But like, at the same time, your girls do that to you, and then you be thinking that your boys, mans do that. And in man time, we really be talking about nothing. Like, it's just love,
basketball, and
brotherhood.
like, for real. And I think that's so interesting too. And Mac brought up a great point, because I think that's also part of it too. I feel like to a certain degree, women feel like they don't want their men hanging out with their homeboys so much because they think that they gonna do what they be doing with their homegirls.
I don't think that's true.
Let's talk about that.
I don't think
Let's
that's
talk about
true.
That.
I don't think
so
that's
what's the
true
issue?
at all.
Like, Mac brought up that point, and it's facts. I feel like to a certain degree, women are like, oh yeah, these niggas gonna be on some wild type time.
Because we see them. We see them out.
Let's talk about it.
We see them out.
The same way we see these ladies out on the same type time.
So I guess that's the overall issue, is that you see it out. So it's kind of like, how can you not trust that it could be happening within
that's
the
where the trust factor comes in too.
Exactly. But as well, women, I think, are also kind of, especially in this day and age, and granted it goes for both, but women are also more hardwired to be in relationships, be committed in those relationships, regardless of if it's a relationship, a situationship, a friends with benefits. Like, it don't even matter what the fake title
Mac
is.
They're
committed to that fake title.
Okay.
Men are not committed to the title until they, I think, legit put a ring on it.
What do you think about that, bro?
I disagree strongly.
Let's hear it.
Again, like, in my defense, you know what I'm saying, I came up in the city, and I have a lot of wholesome gentlemen around me, so I definitely see that high level of commitment from the fellas. But I kind of wanted to bring a point up versus like what each one we're doing. Like, your single friends, can go out and just finesse niggas for drinks all night. My single friends can go out, and get some legs. But like, you're gonna go out and finesse drinks all night, and I'm gonna go out and not get no legs.
Really quick before we continue, legs is a term used to describe women. Some may see it as derogatory, while others just see it as a term of classification, as DMV slang. Continue.
Yeah, we classify over here. No derogatory. Shout out to all my queens. But yeah, so it's like a little step versus a huge step.
Right.
And so it's just like, when you don't see what's happening on a day-to-day, you can't hold my single man's hostage for being single.
Right.
Like, they're doing single stuff.
Right.
I'll be supportive and be like, yeah, bro, you got to do your thing. I'll stay sober, drive y'all home. If you got to go, I'll call you an Uber, wish shorty, whatever you got to do. But like, I feel like it's just a dichotomy of like lack of communication from both ends, where it's like, we don't feel like we got to reassure you because we know we're not finna go out and do all that.
Right.
And then y'all want to get reassured because y'all know the little step that y'all will take that little step. Like, if a dude offers you a free drink, you drinking that junk.
Is that true? Is that true?
For sure.
For sure.
And I think,
sure. But that's only if it's already offered to me. I'm not going to go looking for the drink. I can buy my own drink. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to look for the drink if I'm in a relationship. If the drink is offered to me, yes, that's rude to not take the free drink.
That's rude. Oh, that's the reason. Okay. I think that's interesting, though, too. Like, because since we're talking about this out and about point, I did want to kind of transition over because I don't want to make it a woman bashing episode, right? No, so I wanted to, kind of present the inverse. And specifically, a lot of men are very controlling as well and don't have these relationships with their homies. And they don't want her to hang out with her friends because, they think she's going to be on some, hoe shit. And is this fair reasoning to y'all? I want to hear why or why not. Based on kind of what we're already talking about, right, is the idea of you know, they think you're going to be out here doing dirt, which is why a lot of these girls don't want you hanging out with your homeboys. So I wanted to kind of flip it in the inverse, right?
Yeah, no, I don't think that's true.
Let's
Again,
talk about
I feel as though women, for the most part, are pretty hardwired. If they're in a relationship or if there's somebody that they really do like, they're kind of hardwired to be dedicated to that person. You know what I'm saying?
I think men like that exist as well, and I think a common misconception is that most men are not loyal.
I'm not saying that, and I hope I don't sound like I'm classifying all men, because like I said, there's definitely a difference between, you know, men and thorough men, and then men who play games, and I don't even think of them as like real men.
Little boys.
Yeah, little boys. You know what I'm saying? I like
boys.
honorable men, so I know how to vet for that process.
Okay.
But I think women are just naturally hardwired to be dedicated to whoever they're with. That could be, I mean, whoever they're sleeping with, whoever they're spending time with.
Right.
So whenever they are in a group with their single girls, it's kind of like, okay, I can have fun. I'm going to keep it, you know, PG, but I'm still going to have fun with my girls, but I know this is who I'm going home to. I've seen it. Like, if I'm the single girl and I'm going out with my cousins who are engaged to be married, who are married, my friends who are in relationships, it's kind of like, you do you, finesse, and then, you know, we'll come back, we'll link up in the end. Like, it doesn't matter.
And what do you think about that, bro? So this idea of, you know, insecure, I guess, controlling men and, you know, not wanting the girls to go out because they're going to be on some alleged whole shit.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with a lot of what Glo was saying. She's also a very wholesome person. I've known her for a long time.
Yeah, yes, sir.
So just give her a shout out. But yeah, overall, like, I know in the last episode, or first episode, Eni talked about like maladaptive behaviors.
Right.
And a lot of men who don't have a lot of men friends, or don't have a lot of friends in general, can fall into a maladaptive behavior of codependency, where they need somebody to fulfill something.
A maladaptive behavior of codependency.
Yes.
Bars.
Yeah.
So I know. But they have the idea that like their girl completes them. And I think sometimes, you know, everybody can get caught up in this. You know, you get deep into a relationship.
Right.
Communication kind of switches and you're like, whoa, I was used to that. You know, that's something I fell a victim to before. It's like, I was used to that level of communication. Now it's gone. Oh, what am I going to do?
Right.
But a lot of men come into relationships, you know, there wasn't a lot of men in their life. They were raised by, you know, a lot of women, and they really depended on that energy to really get them through.
Right.
So that's a lot of situations where you'll see where like men will take like high key abusive behaviors, like when a girl tries to do her own thing, oh, I'm going to hurt myself, or I'm going to, you know, you're dead to me, things like that. And it's just like, we got to really focus on the men that aren't as connected with us as well, to get them out of that codependency and understand that that's what's really happening.
And that's where the hobby comes in.
That's what I'm saying.
That's where the hobby comes in. But at the same time, it can't be that hard, like, switch of, I'm going to dedicate all my time or most of my time to this. If you don't have that balance, and then I'm clearly communicating with you, because women are more communicative than men. Like, y'all will kind of just...
Even then, I'm not necessarily sure that that's true.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
You didn't say anything.
I don't know. I feel like
explain yourself right now.
No, I mean seriously. I just feel like there's a common misconception that men are not good at communication, but I think a lot of women think men are not good at their style of communication.
I think women need to, if you're with, like, I feel like you need to understand your person, so you could kind of pull that communication out of them.
Correct.
But naturally, I would say it's the woman who kind of pulls that out of the man. He's not naturally going to just come talk about his feelings or talk about the issues or anything like that.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
But if you do have a man who's very codependent, then yes, he does need a hobby, but he needs to have a healthy level of that hobby. There's no problem with having man time. There's no problem with that. That's encouraged.
So let's even transition out of the man time thing, right? So let's say it's just straight up playing 2K, right?
Okay.
How is that wrong? You know what I'm saying? Like,
not.
So like, and I kind of wanted to discuss it too, like just in terms of like, for example, I know a lot of men that think that watching YouTube vlogs is just as childish as playing 2K. And
that's fair.
Is it fair? What do you think, bro? I think a lot of women say, like, you know, you're immature if you play video games, da-da-da-da. And I want to really address that, too, because how is, you know, watching makeup videos and vlogs and girls going on shopping sprees you know, on YouTube.
Here's the thing. I'm not really like a makeup girl, but I do watch makeup tutorials on YouTube.
Okay.
But wouldn't you not want your girl to know how to do makeup so she can look bomb for you? What does 2K do for us outside of the relationship? Like, at least if she's watching makeup tutorials, it's so she can look good for herself, most importantly.
Oh.
But when she goes out with you, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's productive, if you ask me.
I think 2K can also be productive, and it could be a nice way to soothe your mind after a long day of work. What do you think, bro?
I personally think if we're in a full-fledged relationship, I think that you're beautiful with straight backs and ashy elbows.
That's a fact. No, that's a fact.
Let's keep it a beam.
Y'all
That's a fact.
say that.
No, that's facts. No facts.
That's a
No facts.
whole-
I actually know facts though. Like,
That's a whole. That's
What?
not true.
let's talk about that.
That is definitely
Let me
not
play
true.
with your little short braids. Like I'm with it. I'm with all this
Nah,
smart.
for real. No,
true.
let's talk about it though.
Y'all, so
I promise.
when you go out and you see a girl in her bond, not dressed to the nines or how you would want a woman, because y'all are respectable men, so you would want your woman to carry herself and be respectable and look bomb.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
So just you saying, oh, that's straight backs and ashy elbows, but that's not how you want her to be all the time.
Right.
Oh yeah.
But
Exactly.
his point is that I find you to be beautiful regardless.
Which is so nice, but we know that's a lie. Yeah.
No, but my thing is like if you want to go out in public, like that's something you'll very rarely will a man be like, your hobby is doing makeup. You spend 2 hours watching videos, watching other people beat their face. Then you spend 2 hours beating your face. And I was on 2K with the homies beating some niggas in the park.
Right.
And you still didn't get beaten. I ain't getting no cheeks. So like, but I ain't say nothing about the makeup. I ain't say
Let's talk about it.
4 hours worth of makeup. I ain't say nothing. But the 2 hours, the
That I'm
1
playing
hour you
2K.
watching videos, and the 1 hour, first hour you were putting your makeup on, you sure brought up 2K.
Why weren't you
So-
getting ready if we were going somewhere? Why were you playing games?
But-
Why weren't you getting ready?
I mean, what if I was ready? What if I just threw on a calm fit? That's the point I'm trying to make, right? So he brought up a good point. You're devoting multiple hours to your YouTube. And that's what I'm noticing
Not
too.
even-
Dudes, we're not complaining about how many hours you devote into these makeup tutorials, but yet as soon as you turn the PlayStation on, all of a sudden you're selfish and you don't want to pay attention
that's
to.
not true, but I don't want you to play video games for 2 hours a day, every single day, right after you came home from work. Like, hello, what if we need to cook? What if we're going out?
What if we
Like,
already cooked? What's up?
so
what
who
if-
cooked while we were at work?
Hey,
unless I'm
got a
staying
chef.
home, which
It's
is
like, nah.
I was gonna say, then that's no problem. You know,
but
That's
I'm
no
saying, what if I
problem.
already made food? What if I made a quick meal? What if I bought
And
food
I didn't
that day?
eat?
What if we ordered food that day for delivery? Like at that point, like I'm trying to give you reasonable things. If we live together, I ordered food already. There's no dinner to be made. I cut on the PlayStation.
Okay, but if you tell your girl that you don't like that she spends so much time on YouTube, makeup tutorials, etc., I guarantee you she will adjust. So if your girl comes to you and says, you know what, I think you spend too much time playing video games. Maybe you could do 1 hour video games and another hour something productive or something we could do
But that's what I'm
together.
saying.
a
How
shared
can you
hobby.
say that the game is not productive though?
So
feel me?
can you explain to me how it is? I'm not a girl, so just let me know. I mean, I'm not a man, so let me know how it's productive.
Were you gonna say something about that?
Yeah, so like let's say I'm running games. I'm a high level 2K player, you know, top 100,000 in the country. I'm
know what that
playing
means.
$100 games and I can squeeze 3 games into 45 minutes. All of a sudden I made the collective $300 you didn't even know.
Yeah.
Now you're like,
Off
this
2K tournaments,
hobby,
what's up?
I made $300 tonight. We both probably
Let's talk
only
about
made
that.
200 at work today. So I'm already, you know what I'm saying, over half of more than 50%
Let's discuss, Queen.
creating
She looking real
generational
baffled on
wealth
camera right now. Y'all
with
see her?
2K. So like there's different ways to decompress through that overall. But I also feel like the only time a man will really say something, granted, this is me. I can't talk for everybody.
Okay.
But the only time I would say something about makeup, if it was really just like I felt that you were unaware that you were devoting that much time to that and then complaining that I was devoting half the time to something else.
That's my issue. Is like I feel like we don't be devoting as much time into these games as a lot of women devote into.
So
these
on
YouTube
average, how many hours a week would you say that you play video games?
cannot
or
disclose
whatever
that
your
at this time.
Oh, you can't disclose. Oh, okay.
I
You can't disclose.
I can disclose. So I used to play a lot of video games, but right now I'm on a little bit of
hiatus.
substituted video games to get back right fitness wise. So
See, that's what we applaud on this side. We
But-
applaud
but-
that.
Why can't you do both? That's what I'm saying. You feel me?
can't do both.
There's dudes
You
that,
can.
yeah.
You can't do both.
But even then, like I know guys that are like super check-in dudes, and their girls complain that they at the gym too much.
They do.
And they're like, oh yeah, well, you must like them little niggas you in the gym with. Da, 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 da. It's like,
I mean,
like what's all that though? You feel me? Like,
I was gonna say niggas be gay for 2K,
oh my
but
goodness, nah, nigga, and that's the same point they blow that you in the
but
gym
that
a
was
lot.
derogatory, so I'm not. I renege on that. I renege on that because that's not nice. But
Okay.
it's the same thing. But I have, or like Max said, I can only speak for myself. It's really when it becomes like that's the only thing. I want you to diversify your bonds.
Right.
I'm going to be out here diversifying my bonds with
Right.
hobbies. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I'm going to be out here going to shows. I'm going to be painting. I'm going to be hanging out with my girls. Like, I'm going to be doing different things. If that's the only thing that you do, then I feel like, yes, it's too consuming. Now, I didn't know about this whole $300 thing.
Yeah.
We could talk. Like, if you're making,
There's money to be made.
if your hobby is making you money, I'm not going to complain about that. Like, but I thought, initially it was the hobby is really just your de-stressor. If you're making money from it, that's a different conversation.
Okay, and I think that's interesting too because actually I actually saw a tweet about this the other day, and the tweet said, "Sometimes I wish I was a PS4 so that I can get all of my man's attention." And I think that's so crazy to me because I feel like women truly do over-exaggerate the extent to which we quote unquote neglect them, right? And I think another thing that I want to kind of get a woman's perspective on this too because I feel like women want 90% of your time. If they can get it, they'll take it. What do you think?
I don't
Like,
agree.
I don't think there's any true sense of balance.
Here's
Facts.
the thing. It goes back to what Max said about the codependency
Okay.
thing. I think women like that have I mean, I don't want to say issues.
Issues?
Like, yeah, I don't want to say issues, period. But yeah, codependency issues where they might believe it's a other half type of thing. I
Right.
already come into a relationship.
As a whole.
Yeah, as a whole. Like,
Right.
I'm my own person. I already like my own things. I know what I like to do.
Right.
You are the person that's going to get to know me on a more intimate level.
Right.
So I think those issues really stem from, I don't have girlfriends to hang out with, or maybe my girlfriends all hang out with their men all the time and their men are kind of cool with that, because I
Right.
know relationships where it's like the couples are best friends and they really do everything together, so quality time is not an issue for them.
Right.
Because they genuinely enjoy spending all of their time together.
Right.
So that could be it too, of them seeing other relationships, or maybe coming from a family where relationships were like that, and it's like, oh, you don't spend enough time with me and this is the only way I know how to be in a relationship, or what I expect from a
Is to
relationship.
get all this attention from you as much as
Exactly. It's
possible.
to get all of this quality time, because
Right.
ultimately, like I said, women are pretty hardwired in that. So we're looking at you as a possible husband, the possible, leader of the family. Like,
Right.
we want to make sure that you are as thorough.
Able to commit.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. So that's where I think it comes from.
Okay, so what do you think about that, man? Like I said, I truly do believe that if a woman had the opportunity to take 90% of your time and attention, she would gladly accept it from you.
Yeah,
What do you think?
It's definitely build a nigga workshop out in the streets.
Let's talk about it,
Oh,
bro.
Lord.
Men will, first of all,
Let's talk about it.
men are a lot more highly emotionally intelligent than y'all give us credit for.
Facts.
A lot better communicators than y'all give us credit for. Society makes it so that we can't show these sides of us at a high enough rate that it can become commonplace in the culture.
I don't disagree with that.
Overall. But
Right.
I definitely think, like, if you come in and let's say I was playing video games and then I got into a relationship and fitness became a big thing, my girl would want to be like, yo, I made him get in the gym. Like, I made him start eating different.
Oh.
He started dressing different because of
me,
me.
yeah.
Just like y'all will say, oh, she took my slang, she got my swag, like all of that. We will learn from each other.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I know, I definitely agree. But then at the same time, once that like flashbang of something new that she can put her name on goes away, and now it's been 4 months in the gym, and being in the gym and meal prepping and stuff is taking 8 hours instead of 2 hours on
Right.
a Sunday. Now it's like, oh, that thing is bad. What's next? So I feel like women are always like, yeah, great. It's a great energy to have to try to build somebody up, but at the same time, you gotta more like guide somebody and be like, yo, they're figuring themselves out, and I'm just supporting them figuring themselves out,
Oh, yeah,
rather than
for
like
sure.
taking the credit. Like, I wouldn't be like, yo, like my girlfriend never wore makeup, started dating me, started wearing makeup. I put her on makeup, bro. Like,
I mean,
would never
it do
happen.
be like that though. I mean, there's some ladies that
You gotta match our fly.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Sometimes these ladies are in the darkness, and you can put them on to such things. Granted, I'm not saying makeup is necessary. You know what I'm saying? Because queens can be beautiful with or without it. But
100%.
at the
Agreed.
same time, sometimes you might see that your girls, you know what I'm saying? Now, especially nowadays, guys are kind of hip to what's good and what's not in terms of that whole makeup thing.
Gotta get the ombre.
We can end up being the one directing y'all to the damn videos to watch for real, bro.
Exactly.
And I think that's so interesting too, though. I guess kind of like I said, so that collaborative effort, right? So I kind of wanted to ask you guys a question about that. What are ideal joint hobbies that couples can do together? Because I think a part of the issue is that people are yearning for a level of inclusion, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they see you having fun and doing what you're doing. So maybe it's not even a matter of jealousy. For some girls, they're not even mad that you're playing 2K. They're mad at the fact that they don't know what the hell is going on.
That's a fact.
You know
because now that I know that you can make $300, oh yes, I'll definitely be sitting by your side, cheering you on.
Go,
babe! Get that money. But no, I think that the hobbies that y'all can do together. Mac even mentioned like meal prepping, cooking is definitely something that y'all could do together. I know I'm a creative person, so I feel like we could go to the museum together, or even if you're not into painting, but we'll get into that creative side. It doesn't have to be the best painting ever.
Right.
I think those are things that we can do together. Shows for sure, or like movies are something that you can get into together. Just things that kind of people do. It's not hardwired guy or girl.
Right. Okay. And what do you think about that, bro? Like, what do you think are like ways? Like I said, it's a matter of inclusion ultimately, right? Yeah. So, what do you think are good things that couples can do together? You know what I'm saying?
A highly communicative sex for sure.
Wow.
That's a big thing. Like, if you can't communicate on the visceral level, how you gonna communicate about the little day-to-day things? You can't talk about money if you can't talk to each other from like your soul and your body aspect. So I feel like that's like one of those things that if you're looking for someplace to really work on, that should be where you start.
This nigga spitting.
That's something that's not happening with everybody. Like y'all should both be committed to each other, and it's like there's levels to it. You're not just coming in day one, oh, it was fire. That's my man for life. But like, no, you're gonna get better. You're gonna learn each other more. But definitely has to be a high emphasis over there. And then I think it's just taking an interest in what the other person likes.
Right.
Like,
I think that's a really big thing too. Yeah.
I don't like movies, but if my girlfriend likes certain types of movies, then I'll be like, all right, babe, I'm gonna watch half the movie with you, and then I'm gonna go read a book. But I'm like, I'm gonna know what the movie was about. Google the rest of it, and then we can talk about it.
And then exactly
Yeah,
enough. And I think that effort aspect is so important too. And I think Mac brought up a good point too. Like the idea of like, even if you're not necessarily interested in something, at least trying to take interest in it. Like, for example, I had somebody I was talking to, and she was really into art. And, like, I mean, I'm not really into art like that, but I took interest in it and the things that she took interest in as her, hobby outside of work.
Right.
And I thought that was very productive, right? You know what I'm saying? I feel like, what do you think about that? Like, is that...
No, for sure. I mean, I've been, dating guys who are into cars, and I just need my car to get me from point A to point B. My dad and my brothers handle everything else. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't really know about cars besides, oh, it looks cute. Like, but again, you want to go to a car show, or you want to tell me all about this car and its specs and stuff like that. Yes, I'm going to listen. I'm going to retain as much as I can, and, so we can converse about it, but that's not my interest, but I do it because I know that you like it. And just like you said, you're not really into art. I am an artsy person. I like to go to live shows. I like to go to museums and stuff like that.
Right.
That's something that, yes, we can do together, and I would hope it's not dragging your feet, even though I know it's not your favorite. But if you want to go to a baseball game, that's not my favorite, but hey, I'll go to the game with you.
Okay, so how do you feel about the idea of not necessarily buying into this person's interest, right? So let's say you're in a relationship and, like you said, you are into art, and this guy's saying, that's just not something I'm into. You know what I'm saying? At that point, what does that look like for you in terms of the relationship moving forward?
I mean, if you blatantly say I'm not really into that, and you're not willing to kind of give and take, if you're not going to give and take, it's ultimately not going to work, because like I said, women are pretty hardwired, and so it's like, that can't be my man, that can't be my husband, that can't be the father of my kids. What if our kids like art or are very artistic, and they have that gift, and you're not into that, like, so you just gonna shut them down too because that's not your thing? As an adult, we do things that we don't care for every day, which is going
AKA
to work.
The 9 to 5.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't dream of labor, so I don't want to do that, but we still have to do that. So it's kind of like, if I'm interested in you as a person, and I realize that you're a whole person, and yes, there are things that I don't like about you, but though what I like about you outweighs that, then yes, I'm going to take those into consideration. If you don't, then we clearly can't be together.
Okay. And what do you think about that, man? So the idea of, let's say you're interested in something heavily, and you're in a relationship with somebody who doesn't necessarily take interest in it at all, and doesn't really have the desire to really get into this hobby that you have.
Yeah, I think again it's a problem, but the root cause is really interested in each other overall.
Okay.
I feel like everybody that I've dated, talked to, friends with, like I'm sitting right here watching you host the pod, and I'm learning. Like you might not even know what I'm learning, but I'm learning something from both of you all. You know what I'm saying? So it comes down to like, take a situation where in the past, like I dated somebody and they didn't know like simple things about me after like a long period of time. Like 6-7 months and you don't know what my job title is, things like that.
Ooh,
how can you expect me to be a husband, a father, a provider, and you don't even know what my company's called? Like so
what your man do, girl?
That's what I'm saying. So it comes into a base level of really wanting to know that person and being interested in that person, because everybody that I've dated, I could run you down like exactly what they did, things about what they did,
Right.
what their hobbies were, favorite foods, like, because I'm always learning, I'm always listening. Their friends teach me stuff about them.
Right.
Their exes that they talk about teach me stuff about them.
Right.
So I think it's just the root of the problem is really just not being that interested in that person overall. Like that spark is gone.
Okay, yeah, and I think that's interesting too. An interesting point. I think that is factual though. I think a part of you buying into what your, I guess, potential spouse is interested in is you being interested in them as a person.
Exactly.
And low key, for real, I mean, I think that those hobbies and stuff like that are things that you're gonna know about before you even get into the relationship though. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
So like, I mean, what do y'all think though? I mean, I think in general, like, you know, the things that you enjoy doing as hobbies, like these are things that y'all discuss during the talking phase though. You know what I'm saying?
Right, for sure. Or, you know, we kind of met in that situation.
In that
you know what
setting,
I'm
right.
saying?
So
yeah.
like you met like at an art exhibit or something like that.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly,
right.
exactly. Or
You met
you
in
know,
the-
while
met in the
out
gym.
eating, because I love food.
Yeah,
So you
okay.
know, I could be at a restaurant and you could be a foodie as well. So it's possible that you can meet in the setting. But
Right.
yeah, if you have no interest, it's hard because it's kind of like I won't ever understand video games. Like I said, my
Okay.
brother.
And that's fair.
Yeah,
That's fair.
like I won't ever understand it. Now, is that going to be a hard no for me? It's like, oh, he plays video games? No, but if I do feel like, oh, this is becoming something, or I didn't know that it was to a certain level, which can only be determined by the relationship in itself.
Right.
Once, you know, you're in it. Because I can't, you keep asking, like, what is too much? And I'm like, I really can't say. I guess it really depends on his life schedule.
Right.
You know, prior to the fact.
Right.
So, but I'm not going to say, oh, just because I have no interest in video games, I could be sitting there reading a book while you're playing your games or whatever, you
And
know.
that's the point
and
I'm
that's
trying to
the
make.
quality. That could be the quality time, but that's not going to be the only quality time because to me, that's not real quality time. That's just me sharing space with you.
I think and you brought up a good point too, though. I think an interesting thing to think about too is I consider maybe being within the same space and doing different things still a form of spending time together. Like,
So-
let's say you're reading a book, like you said, and I'm playing 2K. If we're sitting in the same room, on the same bed, I'm playing my game, and you're laid up on the pillow behind me, reading your book.
That's
Not quality time. I
that's-
mean, I wouldn't say that's the most optimal form
Yeah,
of quality
okay,
time.
okay.
However,
As long
I'm
as we
saying
can
it's
differentiate that.
But I'm saying, I mean, obviously, the most optimal form of quality time is actually
Right,
interacting
right,
with each other.
right.
But I'm saying, like, I think a lot of women too don't think that that's a form of spending time together, and I disagree with that.
Oh, well, no, I disagree with that too. I definitely think that is quality time, but that's
Okay.
low on the totem pole
Okay.
when it comes to quality time because quality time is us connecting, you know,
right.
doing something together,
Interacting.
interacting.
Right.
So, yeah, you know, we could even take it back to like college days where y'all are doing different homework assignments, but y'all are just in the
In the same
library
space,
together. Yeah,
right.
in the same space. It's
Right.
like, okay, I get to share a space with this person, but it's not that intimate level that I would like it to be. Not even talking sex, but just of even us talking and getting to know each other, or, you know, we're doing the same type of activity and kind of conversing about it as we go.
Right.
You know, but if you're playing a video game and I'm reading a book, we're not spending quality time
What if
together.
y'all are talking while that's happening, though? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, so
Like, what
I'm
if y'all
gonna
are,
talk
you
about
know-
my book and you're gonna talk about your game.
Not even that. Like, y'all have a conversation about something completely unrelated to
So
what's
you
going
could
on.
having a different conversation while you're playing 2K.
For sure.
Multitasking.
Really? I
Yeah.
feel like you're so focused.
I
on
mean,
the game.
I do be locked in, though. Like,
That's
I
what I'm
personally-
saying.
I
Like, you locked
personally-
in. You got to get that money. That's the only reason why.
And I think that's
here.
interesting. Like, yeah, I feel like I personally do be locked in, and I don't like FaceTiming while I'm playing 2K.
Exactly.
Just because the conversation itself is just so draining.
Exactly.
Like but I feel like women just have to embrace that this is 2K time, bro. We gonna talk on FaceTime after these games, or we can talk while I'm on it. But I shouldn't have to make that choice between, all right, it's either we gonna talk to me fully. Granted, there are gonna be times where I'm gonna talk to you fully and nothing else is gonna be happening in the background.
Right.
But I don't think it should be like, all right, it's either me or this. What do you think?
No,
And I want to hear
I-
your point about this too, bro.
Yeah,
And,
I think
I
that's
want to
fair.
talk about this FaceTime in general real quick before we end it out.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, I think that's fair because if you FaceTime me and I'm doing a face mask or something, I'm not gonna be like,
You're not gonna stop.
Yeah, I'm
Right.
gonna continue to,
do what I was doing before you
pamper
called me.
myself. Exactly.
Exactly.
But that again is the totem pole of, you know, just the spectrum of what quality time that is. It's
Right.
kind of just like, this is a part of my day. You're still my person. I'm gonna talk to you because yeah, I could be cooking and you could be playing 2K and we're talking or whatever.
Right.
We're not in the same space, but yeah, we're still conversing. That's fine.
Okay.
As long as you remember that I need that personal time. Like, I want to be with you. I want to be up under you. Like, you are my man. I value that. I value
which
you.
you can still get though. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. As long as that doesn't get negated, then yes, we can work it out.
Okay. And what do you think about that, bro? So I wanted to get from you first and foremost. Would you consider it to be quality time even if you guys are doing two separate things within the same room?
1,000% quality.
Okay, let's talk about it.
So I feel like it's the fundamentals of the relationship, and like you look at like your best friends. Like me and my best friend growing up, we have spent thousands of days sitting in the same room, not talking about nothing, doing completely different things. I had a blast. Me and Joe could be sitting in the same room. He could be on 2K. I could be on my phone reading a book. Something happens, we talk about it, but we could have a blast. Like, it'll be a fun day.
Right.
And I think that same attribute has to go into your relationship as well.
Right.
We all want to get the like 1,000%, like we just delved deep into our hearts, and then we made love, and then there were strawberries and whipped cream and all that. Like, but like, if you can't get the fundamentals right about just being in the presence of somebody, you're not ever gonna get to that level. And I think like once you get there, you're just like, oh, okay, what's next? It's like a drug almost.
Right.
And it's like that's so fundamental and rudimentary that it's like you should want to be able to work on just being in the presence of each other and not rapping about nothing.
Oh no,
I really feel like
sure.
you can vibe out. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think it's okay to vibe out, and y'all doing separate things. Y'all are just.
What do you
in
think
each
being
other's
married
space.
is? That's
Right.
I mean, that's essentially
Yeah,
what I see of like being married. Like, we're gonna be in the same house. You could be doing whatever, like in the gym or working out, and I'm gonna do laundry, and the kids are doing whatever. Like, that's how I see that. But if y'all don't, as a relationship, prioritize the quality time of let's get out the house and do something outside of this, then it's not quality time. It's just we share a space. We're roommates,
but
you know?
I would still consider it to be quality time, to be honest. Like, I don't know. Personally, I don't know. I mean, I guess you said no. You said yes. I think yes, too, personally. And I think kind of like just going back to that point we were making again, I think low-key to a certain degree, devoting time, to each other could also be virtually as well. Like I was talking about FaceTime earlier. And like I said, I think women do have a hard time allowing niggas to do whatever they're doing while talking on FaceTime. And I kind of want to know why that is. Especially, matter of fact, let's not even talk about activities themselves. I think a lot of women have an issue with being on pause on FaceTime. And I think that's so interesting because, like, what does that even imply? Like, what does that even, like, entail? Like, why is that such a big deal? Why is it such a big deal for you to be on pause? The man is talking to you. Right. Like, y'all are conversing back and forth. Like, there's no blocks in the conversation.
But did you not want to FaceTime me to see my face?
Everybody just calls on FaceTime. Even if it's a regular conversation, we just gonna FaceTime. That's like the default now.
I'm different.
When's the last time you made a phone call?
Because if I FaceTime you, then I really want to see your face.
But if you're on the phone for 2-3 hours, at that point, it's like, you know what I'm saying? Damn. Like,
but you might as well
I can't check my text. You know what I'm saying?
You might as well then just call me. I feel like I'm not pressed about that either. For me, I personally actually use the two as like, okay, if I'm going to call you and I'm doing stuff, like, then I'm going to call you. If I want to FaceTime you, then it's kind of like, okay, you know that I'm not really doing anything, so that's why I can FaceTime you and look at you. I feel like that's why being on pause is so hurtful, because he might as well have just called me, but that's just
But he's still talking to you and making conversation with you. That's what I'm saying. Like, even if he's doing something else during the FaceTime call, even if you are on pause for them seconds, you know what I'm saying? What do you think, bro?
So I actually fall more moderate to almost to the women's side on this one. It just depends on the type of FaceTime call overall. And, if you're like giving a rundown of your day, like if I'm like, shorty's like, how was your day? What did you do?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Delve deep. How'd you feel throughout the day? And I'm really getting into it. Then all of a sudden, pause. I'd be like, I'd be like, what's his name? Where does he live? Like, I'd be like, come on now. Like,
but I mean, that's different though. I mean, continue.
It's an etiquette to it overall. But I definitely, it's another point of communication. If y'all don't, tell what you don't like and what you do like, you can't just expect the person. And a lot of us fall into expectations of like, I even fell into it where it's like I had somebody that I talk to every day, and then it would be like a couple of days where we didn't FaceTime. I'm just like, bro, like, what's going on? Like,
yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, you can't hold me to that standard. And it's like, bro, I'm not holding to extemporaneous standard.
Right,
I'm
just the standard you set.
To the standard you set.
My man been dropping that grammar all day, extemporaneous.
This ain't off the top. This ain't no freestyle. Like, you call me every day this month, and then April hits, and you ain't called me for 5 days. Like,
yeah, what's going on?
Like, it's cool, but
let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Anyway, though, ladies and gentlemen, We got Glow. We got Mac in the building right now. This has been season 3, episode 3 of the show. Y'all already know what time it is, man. Follow your boy on social media at Joe the Great. That's JOETHEGR8, as well as my podcast page at j.ade.pod. Today's topic was on Get a Hobby. Mac dropped his socials earlier. Glow says she don't got none, but it don't matter.
I'm outside.
Yes, sir. You know the vibe, man. You know what time it is, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks again for listening. We out.